It's the realist.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your guy, Realistic, with another episode of our series, How to Make a Living in the Music Industry. And in this one, we're going to be talking about engineering. Seems obvious, right? But how are we going to do a series on different ways to make money in the music industry and not talk about engineering? It's something that most of y'all know me for. It's probably why a lot of you have subscribed to my YouTube channel or have followed me on Instagram, is because of my engineering. And it is a very viable source of income to make money in the industry. And there's a few different roles that you could take on. You could be a recording engineer, a mixing engineer, a mastering engineer, even an assistant engineer. These are all different roles that I've taken on and I've done myself, and all different roles that I've been able to get paid and get money in my pocket. But first, before we really get into the money side of it, which is obviously what we're talking about, I want to talk about how engineering can also benefit your career and help you network. Because let's say you're like an artist or a producer, not so much an engineer, and I want to talk about how that can help you. Because my goal is with these videos is not only for you to find ways to make money in the music industry, but the hopes is also that you're getting these jobs that not only pay, but can help you network, meet new people, build relationships, and just help grow your career. And I think engineering definitely falls under that. Because a lot of times when you're engineering, you're around artists, and if you're a producer, that's your main source of like your clientele, and unless you're doing, instrumentals for like TV and film, but like, artists it's a big part of your demographic that you're searching for. By being an engineer, you're in those rooms and you get put into rooms that maybe you normally wouldn't get put into as a producer, but as an engineer, you're now in that room. And there's a lot of times when an artist will come to a studio session and they might not have a ton of stuff planned out. And I've seen it a lot. I've been asked a lot, hey, pull up some beats on YouTube, just start playing some beats. They'll ask the engineer that, and they won't even know what type of beats they're in the mood for or looking for. They just ask the engineer to play some stuff. But what if you're a producer? What if you have a bunch of beats? What if you have a bunch of beats on you, but you're also the engineer, and the artist comes in and is like, I don't have anything really. I just thought maybe we could go through some beats. Well, bam. You're the producer, you're the engineer and also a producer, so you start playing beats that way, right? And it can also allow you to meet other producers. You could maybe meet A&Rs, managers. There's all different types of people that you can meet while you're engineering. And for me, I've also found that engineering has really helped grow my career and growth as a producer, because if you know anything about me, my ultimate goal in this industry is to one day become a full-time producer. I've been a full-time engineer for a long time, but being a full-time producer is my ultimate goal, and I want to be an executive producer at a really high level. But engineering is part of how I'm getting there, and I think that engineering has made me a better producer because I have such a better understanding of quality selection, sample selection, recording quality, microphone placement. And as I'm producing, these are all things I'm thinking about, even if I'm going through like a drum kit or I'm picking out, a synth preset or something like that in a VST. The engineering side of me is thinking about what sounds will match with what, and what's going to work. And it's just overall helped me a lot with just making better sonic choices because I have an understanding of that. And the crazy part is I've actually had at this point a pretty accomplished, accredited career as an engineer. I've had a whole ass career as an engineer as I'm working my way towards being a producer. But I think that it's becoming a really important part of my goal to be a producer, because I think about it like a head coach, like in football, right? They don't just start out as a head coach. Like they've usually have been a coordinator or has coached a different group of people. Let's take Bill Belichick, for instance. He's one of the most iconic and considered one of the greatest head coaches of all time. So he didn't start off as a head coach, though. In the 1970s, he was a special teams coach for the Detroit Lions, eventually moved his way to working with the tight end group, and then obviously became defensive coordinator for the New York Giants, winning 2 Super Bowls with them, went on to be a head coach at the Cleveland Browns, eventually led to not being a head coach, and then became an assistant coach for the Patriots when Bill Parcells was over there. And then eventually he becomes a head coach again, and now he's considered one of the greats. But him being a special teams coach for the Lions back in the 70s and being a defensive coordinator, all of those experiences help mold him and help shape him into being a better head coach. Those are all experiences that he used to be better. And I look at it the same way with being an engineer, that I think having such accomplished career as an engineer, I think is such an important part of me ultimately becoming a producer. And 5-10 years down the road, when I'm hopefully at a point to where I'm doing producing full-time at a high level, like I'm one of the guys, like I'm in that conversation that, like, you know, Metro and Tay Keith and shoot, Max Martin, I kind of want to be in that conversation, actually. You know, like I want to be more in like the Max Martin and Quincy Jones, and like, you know, just really, you know, people come to me when they want to do a really great album. Everything that I've learned as an engineer is going to play a role into that. And I know, you know, it's a whole thing of being young and trying to do this stuff at a young age. But when I really put thought into it, I think about like our greatest engineers and our greatest producers. A lot of them don't hit their prime or their peak until their 40s and 50s, which is crazy, right? We are trained in our society that your prime and your peak is 20s, maybe 30s, maybe. But when you really think about when a lot of producers have hit like their big stride, their big peak, they've had the prime of their career, a lot of it was done in their 40s and 50s. I think about Dr. Dre when he was really like the top dog as a producer. Obviously, he was doing incredible things as a 20-year-old, way more than I was as a 20-year-old. I'm not taking that away from him, but when we think about Dr. Dre, the GOAT, or one of the GOATs, a lot of that stuff he was doing in his 40s and 50s. Another really great example is Quincy Jones, I think was in his 50s when he did Thriller. Obviously, he did so many incredible things before Thriller. We're not taking that away, but like Thriller, that's definitely prime of your career right there. And Max Martin, all the stuff that he does right now with Ariana, and I know he was doing stuff with Britney and all of them back in the day. But a lot of these guys are kind of hitting their stride when they're in their 40s and 50s. So I feel like if that is one of your goals, whatever road and path it takes you to get there, as long as you're having jobs and stuff that keeps you doing music and keeps you getting better and better at your craft and keep you being able to network and being able to build those relationships, then I think those are all things that will help you better towards your goal. And maybe you don't want to be a producer like me. Maybe your goal is to be a manager or an A&R or an artist, or maybe you do want an engineer. Maybe that is like your ultimate goal, which is, those are all awesome goals to have, and you totally can do all of those. And so engineering is something that I've been able to do really well with as far as being able to make a living on. It's been one of my main sources of income for several years now, and I had a good 5-6 year run to where that was like 80% of my income that was coming in was through mixing, mastering, recording, and you can make, pretty decent amount. It's kind of depends on the area you're in, kind of depends on, your expertise, the level that you're at. It takes a while to build your price up, but every little bit counts. And while you're still working on other things, engineering can be a great little side gig for you to be able to bring in income. Usually when it comes to recording, people usually charge by hour for those. And a lot of times people generally have mixing and mastering separate. Obviously, there's some people that don't, but I think it's, wiser for you as an engineer to record, and that's hourly. And if they want it mixed and mastered, they can hire you for that. Ultimately, that's up to you. If you don't want to do that and you just want to mix it for free, I mean, go for it. I'm not going to stop you from doing it. But yeah, and then usually mixing, instead of, I mean, I've seen people do it by hour, but I mean, that's so tricky, right? I mean, that's tough, right? Of like how to kind of, let me know. I mean, if in the comment section down below, if you have thoughts of how, or experience of how you've made that work to charge people by the hour for mixing, let me know. I haven't had, that strategy hasn't really worked too much for me. I've kind of been more by the song or by the quoted. And usually for me, everybody's different, but I have like different packages to choose from that we can start based on like session size, stem count, that we at least can get a general concept and idea from. And if I'm mixing a song where it's just a 2-track beat, and there's no stems for the beat, and then like a lead vocal and maybe a couple ad-lib tracks, I'm going to charge a lot less for that than I would if it's a song that has all the beat stems and it's like 30 beat stems, and then if we got all these vocal stems and stuff like that, and now the session is 50, 60, 70, 80 tracks, I'm going to charge a lot more for that. So use your best judgment on that, of what you think could work best for you. If you want to offer packages, if you want to just have a set blanket price that just goes based on whatever, or if you kind of want to do it more on a quote system, like, hey, tell me about the session or send me the session, I'll take a look and I'll quote you back. Use your best judgment, do what works for you, but engineering can really help a lot. I was going to talk about editing and stuff like that, audio editing, and try to nudge that in there, but that really is like a whole different thing. So we're going to make that a whole different video, because I'm thinking about all the different things that I've done for audio editing that I've been able to make a couple bucks on and be able to pay some bills on. It's like not only just audio editing, podcast editing. I've done audio editing for even like work videos of like training videos for like construction crews and stuff like that. So we'll do a whole separate video on audio editing. But I would love to know your thoughts on different ways that you're making money in the music industry too. Maybe things I'm not thinking of, maybe things that other people may get use out of. And maybe if you got any suggestions on some topics that you want me to do a video on as far as making a living in the music industry, we're going to touch on all of them. We're trying to grow together. We're trying to all figure out a way of how we can be successful in this. And we're all just trying to be out here making a living, and hopefully we can figure out a way of helping each other, of doing that by sharing each other's knowledge. So until next time, until the next episode. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this tutorial. If you found it useful, be sure to like and subscribe, because it does help the channel grow. When you like a video, it tells YouTube that you liked it, and maybe other people will like it as well. And also be sure to check out my online mixing and mastering courses, the art of beat mixing, the art of vocal mixing, and the art of mastering, all available now. And if this video was helpful and you're looking for other videos, you can watch a video here, here, and here. All right, until next time, y'all.